Hi, and welcome to another edition of the Sustainable Scoop. I'm Miriam Gennari, and I've lived in Arlington for 11 years, and I've tried to be an active citizen, but nothing compared to my guest today, Michael Swisher, who has worked with Arlington students, youth, families for 17 years in the Parks and Recreation, not just developing programming, but really reaching out to the community. And more recently, he took on a position with Arlington's Partnership for Children, Youth, and Families. And I'm really glad to have you at the post. How are you, Michael?
I'm well. I'm very happy to be here.
Now, not everyone knows about the partnership, so could you just tell us a little bit about this? Because this is really the best of Arlington.
I think so too. It's really kind of a powerful model. What it is, and I'd like to tell it, about 15 years ago, some people, all these different agencies in Arlington that work together, that work with children, youth, and families, didn't really talk. And someone said, we should probably talk. So when you think of schools, Department of Human Services, Parks and Recreation, libraries, the police department, and family and domestic relations courts, they all worked with children, youth, and families, but didn't talk. And they started working together. And then the county saw this and said, well, let's do something with this, and created a commission that includes representatives from these different agencies and then 16 community members. So we're actually bringing together county, schools, and community to look at what are some of the priorities, where are some strategies, where do we need to focus to improve life for children, youth, and families.
These are all really supportive services. I mean, you have the Parks and Recreation, but sometimes people forget that the investing in those programs are really a big support to families, especially if they're working and they can't be there for their kids.
Mm-hmm.
So tell me a little bit about how you figure out where the needs are in Arlington.
So a lot of what we do, really, we don't provide direct service. I liken us to a think tank in a sense. What we do is we collect data. We like to speak of, we do research, we collect data, we engage the community, and then advocate where we feel some of the priority areas are. The research, that data comes from our own students. We survey kids. We have two different surveys we do on a 3-year cycle. One is the Youth Risk Behavior Survey. So as you can tell from the title, all the things they're doing that we don't want them to do. The next one is called the Developmental Asset Survey, and this is really it's a measure of things that they have in their lives that are supportive. Developmental assets, it's a youth development model that was put together by Search Institute about 35 years ago. Peter Benson, the founder, really wanted to know, why is it that some kids who, regardless of what their background is, can thrive and succeed?
Right. How come the ones that don't have cell phones and really fancy sneakers get scholarships?
Can still do
What's
it.
going on?
But why is it they can't? And it's because as they followed kids' research, they discovered, basically came up with a list of 40 things that kids should have. It's around supports, it's around empowerment, boundaries and creative activities, their investment in school, their own values, and then how they get along with others and how they feel about themselves. That's, in a nutshell, what developmental assets are.
So you survey and you get this information and you get it from children.
Mm-hmm.
And so what do you do with this information and what comes of it?
That's where we look at it and say, where do we need to focus our energy? And we've done this over the past 15 years with the partnership, and at one point about 10 years ago, we recognized that students were drinking. There was a lot of alcohol use. Led to the creation of the READY Coalition. READY stands for Reduce, Eliminate Alcohol and Drug Use Among Youth. So really a lot of education and campaigning and work around policies to help reduce alcohol use among young people. And it's actually made a difference. We can see that in subsequent surveys.
So what are our problems today?
Today, well actually, so I talked about a 3-year cycle. We have 2 surveys, and there's that 3rd year. We actually produce what's called a report card, the community report card. And what this is brings together data from those surveys and other sources. And so in the creation of this document, really there's a lot of work that goes into it, but we've identified really 4 priority areas right now, where we're seeing issues around bullying. So there's an increase in bullying that's taking place, especially for the first time we've actually surveyed and separated out kids who identify as LGBT or Q.
Wow.
So, and what you see is with bullying, higher incidence of bullying among that population. So there's also issues around childhood obesity, mental health, especially around depressive symptoms and suicide. Again, with our LGBTQ population, higher rates of that. And then finally, family communication. We found, and this is one of the things I'm really doing a lot of work around, 70% of our kids feel loved and supported by their families, but only 32% feel they can talk to mom or dad about difficult issues. If they're not getting their information from their parents, where are they going?
And we can't rely on the internet
No.
for them to Google these answers. But I also think that, when you think about how a child must feel and what resources are available to them, the fact that you're bringing these groups together perhaps offers them, if they can't go to their teachers, then perhaps they can speak to someone at Parks and Rec. And certainly if they're in trouble, they're there for counseling and direction as opposed to a punitive kind of situation.
Mm-hmm.
But the key really is to have parents involved every step of the way.
Parents and other adults.
So what can you
parents.
do to get more people involved? What are you working on now?
Well, actually, as a result of the report card, we've got
Which everyone should go online and get.
That's right, available on our website.
Okay.
And you can look at all different formats of it. But we're starting our community engagement process. And what this is, it's bringing the community together to look at those four priority areas. So we're reaching out to everybody. We're looking for leaders. We're looking for faith communities. We're also looking for people who have expertise and work in these areas, but specifically, like I said, around bullying, around childhood obesity, the mental health, and then the communication within the family.
Okay, and that's going to be at Fairlington on April 13th. At
from
what time?
6 to 8 p.m. at Fairlington Community Center. It's 3308 South Stafford Street.
Everyone knows where that is.
Yes.
They need to come because this is a place where they can not only invest in their community, but invest in the sustainability and the long-term future of Arlington.
Yes.
You
absolutely.
bring this whole Arlington thing together. Well, I want to thank you so much for taking the time to come and talk to us. I need you to come back and tell us how it's going. Continue the good work, Michael.
Thank you.
All right. And I want to thank all of you for watching The Sustainable Scoop. I'm Miriam Gennari. Back to the news desk.